Doing a good old-fashioned gum-chewing ramble here today. I'm going to go a little long with this one. We'll see if I push an hour or not. I want to do at least 45 minutes. I'm in the mood to ramble. I know I've been doing rambles lately, but usually this presents an NBA ramble or whatever. Something quick. But I've been really wanting to kind of chat it up about things. This and that and whatever, you know. Still playing RoboCop Rogue City. I'm still enjoying that game. I think I'm towards the end. But still a really cool game. I like doing the side stuff and issuing tickets and stuff to people on the streets. I think next time I'm in the antique stores, Antiques and Geeks specifically, I gotta grab that copy of Buffy on the original Xbox. It's still there. It's been there since I first saw it we probably went in there sometime in June. Maybe a couple of weeks, 2 weeks, maybe after we got here. And it's still there, so I'm hoping it remains there. Of course, when I finally am truly motivated and say, I'm buying it, it will be gone. But you know, if it is, it is. It's just a nice deal. It's $20 for the complete copy as opposed to eBay's like $25, $27. The difference isn't huge, but hey, it's right there. You don't have to worry about it getting shipped or whatever. I need to just do it. That one actually, they opened up an additional little kind of, I wouldn't even call it a floor. It's more like the attic. I guess somebody's selling stuff up there. There's a lot of clothes up there and stuff. But because we had gone in there over the weekend, well, last weekend. Let's talk about, we've been watching School Spirits season 2. It's been solid, solid so far. Yellow Jackets comes back tomorrow. Well, I'm filming this Thursday. But that comes back Valentine's Day, the 14th. So that's cool. I think Reacher comes back in a couple of months. And then I think there's another show or two that also comes back in the coming months, like March, April. I can't remember what though. Portland has probably lost 3 in a row. They blew a lead and got destroyed in the fourth quarter against the Timberwolves team that had like nobody playing. And then Denver beat them twice. I want to film. I got an idea to film. It's gonna be like I don't know if I've done this in the past. I might have. Kind of like a robbery type series, and they end up in the garage, and the weird shit starts happening. I'm starting to get a little motivated for the role plays. So you might see maybe 2 or 3 of those in the coming like week and a half, something like that. Did I say I was playing Rebel Strike? Yes, I think I said that at some point. I filmed that in my other video, my other channel, what I've been playing. It's been cold here. I mean, it hit like 70 degrees on Sunday. And there was some warmer days before that. That's why I was able to get out there and cut the 2 hydrangea trees. And those things were a pain in the ass. And you can tell they've been cut. You're supposed to trim these back every year. And obviously this is our first season of doing it. Whoever lived here prior, either, I think they had landscapers. Or they were, whoever. But it's like, I'm reading up on it, looking at vids, just to, try to do it properly. Because I've cut hydrangea bushes, but these are trees. They're not huge, but they're pretty big. And I'm like, It's like, oh, you want to cut the cross branches? I'm looking in here. I'm like, this cross branches, everything branches. I was like, oh my goodness. Pain, it was a bit of a pain in the ass. And of course, it was super hot. I'm like, I'm not throwing on a long sleeve shirt. My arms are getting carved up. Actually, most of them, the damage is gone. That's a little kind of a remainder. But I was just using the pruning shear. Then I had to get more of a little branch cutter with length to it because the one over here by the garage, well, no, the garage is there, by the bonus room that we're in, there's one right there. It's in front of the bedroom window. I don't know why the garage is the garage. I mean, it's all very close, but that one's on level ground, so I was able to get up on the step stool and get up there and cut the ones I couldn't hit because they were growing up long. And apparently these things make a point too. When you cut them, they're like grow even bigger. They're like, oh, you want to cut us? We're expanding out even further. How about this? So I do have to get out there and kind of trim them back a little further, but the other one is not on level ground. So you have it, it's in front of the kind of the second living room window, but it's like level, and then the rest is completely slopes down. I can't get on a ladder there or anything because you go flying back. So I had to get the things and get some longer reach when I go up on the sides I can stand on. I was getting pissed because that one over there is even thicker in the middle with little branches and stuff. But that's done at least. But it dropped. It backed down into like the friggin' 30s. Now, I'm not complaining in the sense of, hey, we're not getting snowed on or anything, but it's like, I want that. Like, I'm not one of those people who's going to be like, you know, when someone's like, we got 6 inches of snow, and someone's like, we got a foot, as if it's, once again, a game, right? Humans have to turn everything into a competition. It's like, no, I don't want any snow. I want you to tell me you got 2 feet, and I want to be like, it was 65 degrees today. That's what I want to do. I don't want to be like, but we got 3. You know, get the fuck out of here. I don't care about that. So drop down, it's been raining too. But it's dropping into the 20s at night and stuff again. It's like, come on, man. I was like, oh, here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Not that I'm expecting 70s, but 50s, 60s. I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm hoping for, right? Because that's what the cool thing is. And you're going to get the warmer days, but it's middle, what is it? Yeah, middle. Just about middle of February and then March, because I still need to do some yard stuff. But that was the goal in mind, like, go out there periodically because the weather's going to be, and I'm not even talking if it's in the high 40s, I don't care. Back in Massapequa when I was doing the yard work, because obviously it wasn't when we were at the apartment in Islip, I'd like to get all that stuff done by December, but here it's like, hey, I can pop out whenever, boom, go cut the lawn, it's 50, 60 degrees out, great, 70, okay, you know, because there's a lot to do. I understand why the people have landscapers, because the lawn is sizable, and you can use a ride-on mower. The guy across the street was nice enough when we weren't here after we came in April briefly before we permanently came down. There was like a big gap of time, it was like maybe about 6 weeks, and he cut some of the lawn that he could because he has a ride-on mower, but his property is more level. Or it goes down like this. It's not like, ours is like, you can't even do it. Like even when I'm using the push mower, you're like, oh, yeah. So you can't cut certain parts. So ride-on mower was essentially pointless to own because you'd still need the push mower to do certain areas. And the backyard as well. The backyard doesn't have much grass at all, so you're not forcing your way in the back with a ride-on mower, which you wouldn't even be able to. I guess you could on the one side. There'd be a big enough gap. But there's a lot of little things to do. I got to do more leaves. I got to mess with the peonies bushes. Well, because we got hit with a lot of heat in summer. It didn't rain. It messed the lawn up bad. I got to get some like turf builder type stuff as well, and a spreader to get that out there. Because it scored it, and there's no point watering it every day. Hey, we don't want to plow through all of our water. We got well water. Not that I don't think we would, but to keep your lawn green, you have to during a heat, like that kind of heat with no rain. You got to be running your sprinkler 24/7 essentially. You know what's the point? But it got so scorched that when it did start to downpour again, like there was areas that were like beyond dead. So I gotta bust that out. Get a hand spreader that I used to have one of these back on Long Island as well. Hand spreader, just walk around the property. I don't need to get the push one. I mean, I guess I could, but I'm not gonna use it. I'm using it on the main lawn, not the lawns going up and down the street. These side little ones, I don't care about those enough. And theirs don't even look that bad. I mean, but you also up there get like the clay and stuff. It's like dirt. It's like clay and the stone and stuff. Because like in these hills here, there's just like huge rocks just coming out of the ground. You gotta be careful. But I typically don't mind. I don't even mind cutting the lawn, honestly. You know, I got the battery. I was like, I don't want to get into the gas mower because this thing's gonna eat through the gas so quickly, and it's like, oh, I gotta go back into town and get the gas again. I'd rather just have this battery because it takes 2 charges to do the full on. I'm talking if you want to do but the back I let sit a little bit because it's so quick. But if I want to do the full front, down the road, up the road, then onto the main road, it's gonna take a charge and a half. So it's gonna go through a charge, then you gotta charge it up. You don't have to go the full charge, which is fine because usually I'm like, all right, I'll take a rest here for a half hour, let the thing charge. Especially on a hot day, like I'm like, oh, great. It's forcing me to stop, which is nice. Because I'll keep going with the lawnmower until I'm like about to pass out in the heat. Like I'll forget to drink water because I'm an idiot. Speaking of which, but yeah, I don't mind the artwork. I'm excited to get into those mountains up there though, and back on those trails. I think I've talked about in the past. I gotta buy myself like a hatchet or something from the store to carry with me. But yeah. I'm gonna film another one. I filmed it for my other channel. Anybody wants to go to my other channel, there's a link in this channel page if you wanna sub to that channel as well if you're into me just not even like a soft spoken like this, like me actually talking like a louder voice, I guess. And you still like that, you're gonna get a like there. If you don't like gum chewing, that's the channel you wanna go to. Okay. But I did put that second the Game Boy Advance interview. I'm like, you know what? Because I was going up to New York last month, and I was like, I need to. That was an extra video that I had not deleted. I'm like, let me throw it up on the ASMR channel. I didn't call it ASMR because it doesn't. I mean, you can call anything ASMR, I guess, if someone likes the sound of it, right? Outside of like screeching and clawing things, and grinding. And it did well. People liked it. So I want to film one with the original Xbox for the other channel first. The Buried Under Cliches channel. Like I said, there's a link on the on my channel page here if anybody else wants to check that out. And I want to do an Xbox one. I'd put it up on the other channel first. Let it sit up there for at least a week. And then see how that one does as well. Because I got some ideas for the Xbox one that are a little fun. I like doing those vids. Those are the vids I used to do back in the day on my other Buried Under Cliches channel that I couldn't access. I used to have a lot of fun with those goofy videos. I'm not doing enough of that on the other channel, unfortunately. But I kind of want to try to ease into it, maybe get a little goofier with that stuff. Someone was asking a while back about my G.I. Joe classified figures. And at the time they asked, I was like, I haven't really, they're like, update or something. I hadn't gotten any new ones, really. But since then, I've gotten, I think, 4 new ones. So I might do another one of those collections or just an update on them. I know some of you guys like them. I'm always looking at the starting lineup figures as well. On eBay, I was like, oh, here we go, get that. And I never buy them, and then I buy like 3 or 4 at once, and then I stop for like 6 months. channels because I watch videos on that page as well. I started some of the like, other video game related channels, smaller channels, like, yeah, you know what. And I was watching two British guys were complaining about CEX, and I've heard about this thing before. ASMR with Bex has done a few videos where she had gotten stuff from there and unboxed it or whatever. So I knew of the name. Obviously, it's a chain over there, and I think it's also in England and Australia. I think it's in Australia too. It is not here. I don't believe they have any here. I guess it's like it's not a GameStop because they sell retro stuff too. I believe, right? Anyone from England or Australia, let me know exactly what they sell. But I've heard they sell like all types of stuff. And electronics as well, whatever. But they were complaining about like how they, and I started laughing, and I'm like, I'm watching more of these videos because it's just like, I like listening to them just talk. I've talked about my ASMR preference is voice, and it doesn't have to be someone specifically whispering. If they have a nice voice, I'm gonna watch it. So these people are not ASMR channels, but I like voices, so I watched, and some of this stuff, it reminded me of the people that are going off on GameStop for a while, right? Tons of GameStops, although GameStop is shrinking by the year in the US. With GameStop, same thing with this place, right? And CEX, it's the same. There's good ones, there's terrible ones, there's okay ones. But this guy's telling his stories about their... This is what shocked me. Okay, and people in this comment section were saying this too. When you go to GameStop and you return, you trade in, what at any point in time in GameStop, if I bring an Xbox One in, they test it right there. They do. It's done. The guy was saying he brought in like a Wii, mint condition, in the box, everything. And they don't, like, he leaves and they test the stuff. This was insane to me. I was like, no, I would never leave my stuff with any place, even if I thought they were completely on the up and up. But he's like, he came back and they tried to give him back a Wii remote, and he kept saying Wiimote, and I was like, it's Wii remote. It is. I know people, everyone, 90% of people call it a Wiimote. It is a Wii remote. That's actually what it's called, a Wii remote. But they try to give him another one back, like a third-party one. He's like, no, that's mine over there. That says test on it. And they had to give it back to him. I was like, wow. I'm like, people actually leave their stuff at this place and leave while they test it and come back. I'm like, what? I'd immediately be like, no, they're going to do something to this thing. Because apparently this place, I don't know, because I've never been to this store. Maybe if I ever get to England, I will go to one. That's another thing. And aside, I was looking at like trips over there, because I've always wanted to go there, Ireland, Scotland. And I'm like, how much would it be to go over there and stuff? Maybe in the next 3 or 4 years, something, right? But he's talking about how, like, he was in there once. I guess he had a couple of stores in his town. This one, apparently this is the chain that apparently has knocked out a bunch of the indie game stores. I don't know. Once again, let me know if you live over there. Let me know the thing. I would assume he's being truthful. Why would he be making that up? And the same thing with a CEX or a GameStop. You're going to have good experiences, bad experiences, all, whatever. They're not all bad, right? He said they screwed with a guy and, like, he had like it was like a cancer awareness special edition DS or something. He said it had the pink ribbon on it. And they were like, oh, is something wrong with it or whatever. They gave him like nothing for it. And the person like kept it. Like they used their own discount to buy it themselves. Like he was there when they were bragging about this. I was like, oh my God. And he was saying this place is like super strict, and the scratches on the disc or they won't accept anything. Or the sticker on the manual, he was saying they wouldn't take his game because there's a sticker on the manual. But I saw another one of his videos where he ordered a bunch of stuff from, I guess, their website. And all the discs were like scratched to hell. And he was even saying, he's like, they wouldn't even accept these, yet they're selling them. But this was, that's another thing. I'm feeling a little shitty. I gotta mute it, bro. I've been coughing, but I'm feeling a little better. My throat was hurting. It's not really hurting now. But I was coughing a lot more in the morning. And then I kind of stopped. But now I'm like afraid I don't want to just... Oh. I'm getting myself worked up too with my ramblings. But he's... I'm hearing this stuff. And then I went to another guy's. I found another guy. Because I start watching. All of a sudden a bunch of other people are talking about it. Smaller channels too, which I like to find. I like this other guy's channel too because he sells eBay over in England. He's selling on eBay over there, and he goes through like stuff he sold and stuff, and that stuff starts to get me like excited to list stuff and shit. I always like seeing that, and he goes to sales and everything like that, thrift stores, whatever. But he was talking about when a ZX, and he had the case, and it was Forza Horizon 5, and it was the case for it. Sticker says $5. Now I'll get into this full thing. But they give him the disc for Forza Motorsport 5. These are two different. They're both Forzas, but they're different things, right? One's like the simulation. One's more of the open world, right? Driving all over the place. Whatever it is. I have one of them 3, I think. And, so he sees that they put the other disc in, and he's talking about it. He's doing his pickup bit or whatever he's doing on. And he opens up, he's like, oh, and he sees on the sticker, it actually says Forza Motorsport 5. That's a $5 game. It says it on the thing. The Forza Horizon 3 is $32.99. So he's like, whatever, He's like, I think I could keep the case. Case has some value. Maybe I try to sell a disc only of this Forza Motorsport 5 for $5. He looks at his receipt. They charged him the $32.99 for the $5 game, and then he went back and was able to get it fixed or whatever. But the person said they must have scanned the back of the case, not the front barcode that has 5, the back barcode. So they made a mistake or something happened there where they put the wrong thing in there, the wrong game in the wrong case. Although I was like, but he made a good point. He's like, sometimes I don't even notice what the price is. I'm not thinking about it, and all of a sudden you just tap your card and boom, money's gone. You're not even thinking. For me, I would immediately know. If it was like $5 more, it might not cross my mind till I really look at the receipt. $32.99, I immediately be like, no, these 3 games shouldn't be like $50. What? But he was able to work that stuff out. And I was hearing other horror stories of this place. Like doing reprint labels, but not taking a game that has a reprinted label. But then they have their own. I mean, like I said, I don't know their business practices. I don't live there. If any of you guys have bad experiences or good ones, because like I said, other people are like, oh, I have good experience, and then people start defending the company, which is always weird to me, in the sense that you can't just be like, oh, that sucks, you had a bad experience. I've had good experiences. They like go to bat for these places. It's like, I think I've never really had a bad experience with GameStop, but I'm not going to sit here and say, how dare you say you had a bad one. Like, I know GameSpot shits the bed a lot of the time. I've gotten lucky and they never have with me. But it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. I'm not going to be like, how dare you? Not the mighty GameStop. Let them, don't make fun of them. But I just went down a rabbit hole of that. I'm like, this is great. And like I said, if I like people's voices, I'm going to be listening anyway. But it's funny when you're hearing people complain about that store there. It's like people complaining about GameStop here. I mean, we're lucky here, though, in the U.S. And I don't know how it is in England. I don't know how it is in other countries as well, in terms of, like, retro game stores. When I was in New York on Long Island, like, you had it made. When it came to video games, you had it made. They have the Retro Game Expo. One of them, the country has them all over the place, at the Cradle of Aviation Museum by the Nassau Coliseum. They have, like I said, there's at least 15 to 20, like, retro game stores on Long Island. If you live somewhere, you can probably have to not go more than 20 minutes to get to a retro game store. Like, when I was in Islip, I could have hopped on the train. It's a car ride over, or if I take the train, 5 minutes to East End Gaming. By car. Train, it's like, 15 minutes, and I walk 20. Actually, no, it'd only be about a 7-minute, 8-minute train ride, and then I'd have to walk a little bit. And then there was the video game trading post in the mall, the South Shore Mall, that I would occasionally go to. I'd walk there, and that was still like a 40-minute walk, but I didn't care. As someone who doesn't drive, a 45-minute walk to me is not long. That's short, in my opinion. That's like, what? So we gotta walk that far? I'm like, what? That's not long. It's gotta be like an hour and a half for me to start to care about it being a long walk. In Massapequa, there was the one in the Sunrise Mall at the time. There's one in Levittown. There's one in the Broadway Mall. There's one in the Deer Park Outlets. There's the Game On in Smithtown. Babylon by the train station has a retro game store. There's one in Bayshore. There's one in Patchogue, I believe, now as well. They're everywhere, and I don't know all of them either. And that's not, I'm not counting Queens and Brooklyn and stuff like that. I'm sure they got a bunch too. And then you have all your GameStops as well. There's a few play-and-trades still floating around. Maybe they're gone now, I don't know. This is specifically Long Island I'm talking about. So you can get your games there. Like, it's a... Now, here in Asheboro, a lot different. If I want to find a retro game store, straight retro games, maybe toys, whatever, I gotta go to Greensboro, has a few, I believe. But even here in Asheboro, there is a GameStop. You got the Toy Busters, which has some games I've talked about. So where I got Bloodstone. You know, a wall of games, not a ton, but hey, something. The Antiques and Geeks, if you can count everything that's throughout this big place, decent amount of games. Not a shit ton. It's not East End Gaming or something like that. And the other two have some games, but not a lot of stuff. But there is stuff there to find. So there is still access to some stuff. But, you know, you go 30 minutes up to Greensboro and you can find some. I've not been to them, but I've looked them up online. Dedicated ones. But almost anywhere in the country here, any state, you probably can go. I guess it depends. You might have to drive an hour and a half to get one, depending on where you live. If you really live in like a really, really rural area. So I don't know how it is over there in terms of, like, this person was saying, like, the CEX kind of pushed out, or there were so many of them that the smaller game stores kind of disappeared. Now, once again, if you live over there, let me know. If you have, like, dedicated retro game stores that aren't chain ones or whatever. But, like I said, I watched some of those videos. I was like, yes. And the person starts talking about their eBay stuff, and that always still excites me that day when people talk about the stuff they've sold or the stuff they found and where they got it from and stuff. So I decided I'm going to sub to these two people. But I'm always amazed by, like, people's complaints and, like, their horror stories of certain stores. And GameStop, there are plenty of them. And like I said, I've gotten lucky. I've gone to a lot of different GameStops. You know, sometimes I'm having weird conversations, like the two people talking about it. This was years ago, when they still sold Genesis games and Super Nintendo and stuff like that. They do in some. Now they have retro game stops that are in specific places. And it sucks because I think they moved out anything retro out of all the existing stores to these other ones, which kind of sucks. Like, I think they still have PlayStation 3 and 360 and the one here in Asheboro. I have not seen any original Xbox or PS2 or anything like that. Maybe they just haven't gotten them in, or maybe they had to move them to the dedicated retro one. Which I don't know whether there is one anywhere near here. But, what was I saying? Oh, they were talking about how they wanted to wrestle on Genesis cartridges. I was like, I didn't even think it was that. Like, you can say anything disgusting or weird to me, and I was just kind of looked over like, okay then. I'm not buying those games. You can wrestle and get your sweat all over the Genesis games. They're gonna mud wrestle and oil wrestle on friggin' Genesis cartridges. But I've never had a problem with GameStop. For years, and even when it was Babbage's Funko Land, we'll talk about the same thing with EB. Never ever really had it. The only issue I had, and I've talked about it, and it wasn't even a big one, was that time when I pre-ordered Silent Hill 4 on the original Xbox, and Went there to get it. I have the receipt with the pre-order. I think I put $20 down on it. So I owed him $40 or $30. I don't know what no, wait. I would have owed him 30. It was 50 games for 50 back then. I'm like going by $60. I'm pretty sure I threw like 20 down. I go to get my receipt, and they're telling me I'd never did this, and I was getting annoyed. Like, and I am not a confrontational type. Even when I get confrontational with people, and even when I'm right, I know it's going to stick with me for years after, and I hate that. I'm like, I don't want this to stick with me, even if I'm right, and it's justified. It's still going to bother me, because it's out of character, right? And I start getting annoyed. I'm like, no, I did it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you were the one that gave it to me. Here's my receipt that says it with the date. And they kept just like, oh, it's not. I was like, and they finally gave me the game. I was like, yes, because I have my receipt from this GameStop. It was in Sunrise Mall. I was getting pissed. And then on the way home, it started downpour. So I had to protect the game. I think, when did that game come out? September of, God, was it September of 04? The Room came out. Son of a Room. So I was pissed that it was rain. I was pissed when I got home. I was annoyed. I wouldn't even consider that a big thing, though. That was just them. Like, I don't know what they screwed up. But it wasn't anything like they're trying to con me out of a game or they're trying to swap out stuff. I was still amazed that people bring their stuff to trade in or sell, and you leave it there. I guess they're not going to do it immediately. But like, you know what? I'm going to just hang out here. I'll hang out here for 45 minutes. You know? Because to me, I was like, really? Like, you just drop your stuff off and leave and come back and hope they haven't screwed with it? But, yeah, that was a nice chunk of rambling. We're actually going to see, well, this is going up Friday, but we'll be seeing Hard Eyes tomorrow. Get some dinner and go to that. Like I said, I'm excited I'm getting that roleplay itch again. Like I said, I need to be in the mood to make roleplays, to make them. Because if I'm not, it's gonna it's gonna seem like it's phoned in. There's a few I have in mind. I'm trying to think of what to pop in after RoboCop. I might throw in Resident Evil 2, the PS5 one. That was gifted to me, thank you again. I might throw that in just to give it a bit of a play. I did actually play some of the Atari. Threw that in, played Food Fight. I was playing some Turbo Sub, I believe. Link's game. Not Arkanoid, Super Breakout. Arkanoid is the same thing as Super Breakout, similar to, very similar. A couple other ones, I can't remember what. It's a shame Moon Patrol's not on there, the Atari, the 50th anniversary celebration thing. I saw that there was a Sony State of Play the other day. I like breezed through it super quick and was just like, there were some games that kind of look cool. They showed an Onimusha. I guess they're making a new Onimusha, or a remake, or it's just a new one. I don't know. A Days Gone is getting a remaster. I've not played that. Still, that was a PS4 game. So maybe I'll jump on a remaster. Unless the PS4 version's like $10, and I will just buy that instead. There's something else that looked kind of cool, but I cannot remember the name of it. I should look it up. But there wasn't a lot of crazy stuff. I think they showed Shinobi. Sega's making a little smaller bite size, like a 16-bit type shit. And I think they're doing a Shinobi. But I was not. And here's the thing, I've said this in the past. This generation sucks. Like, this console generation, PS5, Xbox Series X, it's just not great. It isn't. Like, I think a lot of people agree with that. It's just not. Oh, phone, what are you doing? Everything we saw. Here's a guy making a video where he's like, oh, no. I always love the screenshots of the face. I can't even bring myself to do that. Oh, exciting games. Saros was one. Well, I guess those are the people that did Returnal. Snake Eater, Solid Delta Snake Eater. They showed. Oh, it was Dynasty Warrior. No, wait. A new Dynasty Warrior spinoff that's out today. Onimusha Way of the Sword. There's Shinobi game. What was that other one? Borderlands 4, apparently. I think I did see that. I think it might have just been, I don't think that was gameplay. Tides of Annihilation, I think that was the one that looked kind of cool too. Yeah, players will take on the role of Gwendolyn and will be able to call in the Knights of the Round Table to help her in combat. That could be cool, actually. That did look cool. Like, I actually watched like more of that stuff. But once again, like, I don't think there's any God of War. Everybody was like clamoring for a Bloodborne remaster or some shit. You know what's getting bad? When people, myself included, like, are more excited about remakes of old games or remasters of old games. But yeah, listen, there's plenty of cool games. I played some great shit. Ghostwire Tokyo was incredible. Final Fantasy Rebirth, RoboCop is great. You know, Plague Tale Requiem was awesome. I like Siberia the World Before. I talked about my disappointment with the Dead Space remake. Silent Hill 2 remake was fantastic. I haven't played everything. Final Fantasy 16, the amount I played it was super cool. I need to get back into that. And the other one, like, I've had a lot of enjoyment, but I just feel like there hasn't been as much. And the problem is some of these games take so long to make nowadays, you know, the way they're making them and shit. It's just like, I don't know. I think it's been a weak console generation, not the systems themselves. Although I don't have any experience with the Series X. I know people complain about the Series X because it's not as powerful as the X, and like developers are like, dude, we can't like optimize our games for this shit. But Series X, I think, is more powerful than PS5. Not the PS5 Pro, but I just feel like the games aren't coming out. Like, I'm trying to think of like the last fantastic generation. The PS4, Xbox One was solid. 360 PS3 was excellent. The PS2, GameCube, Xbox era was just awesome. Really was. Because you had all three of them. This is before Nintendo ventured on into the weirder shit. Even though Nintendo, like Sega's always been a little weird. But you had the three of them, you know, then you don't count the Wii as much with the PS3 and the 360. Nintendo's like in its own little thing, you know. You don't count the Switch or the Wii and the Wii U. You're not counting with like the Xbox One and the PS4. You're not counting because it's not on the same level playing field. That's why Nintendo does its own thing now. Which, whatever, that's fine. I appreciate it, honestly. But that's when all three of them were still kind of doing the same thing with the Cube and the Dreamcast as well for its short run. I'm trying to think. My favorite generation was probably TurboGrafx 16, Super Nintendo Genesis. That's my kid. You get memories there and stuff. I can't say the Nintendo 64, Saturn, PlayStation 1 because I only have real experience with the Nintendo 64. That's why the Cube, Xbox, and PS2 generation was great because I had experience with all those systems, a lot of experience with all of them. Great console generation. What else? Did I say this? I think I said this. Maybe I didn't. We were in Greensboro last weekend and we found a pretty good pizza place, actually. I forget what it was called. There's one across the street called New York Pizza. I always laugh. Times Square Pizza, Penn Station Pizza, they have down here and stuff. The pizza was solid at this place. The garlic knots, not so much. Like, even in the other places we've had garlic knots, they don't compare to Long Island's because they're not as disgusting and greasy. They make them differently down here. The bread's different. There's some different things I do. Not that they're bad, but they just taste like bread. Bread thrown in the oven. Yeah, they don't use garlic, I don't even think. It's funny because I went in there, I'm like, I could have a regular slice. And he's like, cheese? I was like, yep. I'm so used to just saying, give me a regular. And just, but, the Times Square pizza's solid too. I was never a New York pizza snob. Honestly, I like Domino's deep dish. I like quite a bit. But it is good. Like, the pizza on Long Island is good. A lot of people like it. But you're going to find bad ones up there too. There's so many. That's the thing, right? There's like 10 per town. Literally. At least, like, maybe not 10, but there's at least like 8 pizza places in almost every town on Long Island. I'm trying to think. Islip had Angela's. I think it was Francesca's, Gio's, Renzo's. I forget what the one was called on Main Street. The Pizzeria. Actually, I think it was just literally called the Pizzeria. Those 5. Oh, there's another one. There's another one up. I think it was up 111. At least 6. Massapequa, forget about it. If you're counting all the Massapequas, my goodness, there's at least 15 to 20. But pizza, a lot of Chinese food, a lot of liquor stores. Down here, they just have ABC liquor, and the state runs it, which is weird to me. The state runs the liquor store, like. Because we were going past it, I'm like, what's this ABC? Because it didn't say liquor, it just said ABC. It literally looked like an office building, and we found that was a liquor store, which, look, at the end of the day, you only need one. I'm personally not buying liquor often, but I just found it interesting. Although I think Asheboro was a dry town up until like 2000. I could be completely wrong. Which, not that I'm drinking alcohol often anyway. I think I've had booze like once in the last, well, definitely only once this year, I think, so far. But yeah, it was just like, because I'm like used to like, where are the liquor stores down here? Or the beer distributors as well. The supermarket, you can buy a lot of, you can buy wine. I don't think they have hard liquor in the supermarkets. They have pretty good selections of beer, at least in the supermarkets down here. Well, Long Island had beer distributors where they would just have tons of beers, tons of ciders. And almost every town had one of those. People on Long Island need their alcohol to get through their existence. I remember I used to come home from the train station all the time. It'd be like 5:30. It would be about 5:30, something like that. And, because I would leave. I'm trying to remember now. The bus would leave at 4:30. Yeah, I was getting home around. I was probably walking past there about 5:45. People would be going in the liquor store. It'd be packed after work every day. People need their freaking booze to get through the day. No, you don't use the booze to cover that shit up. You deal with the pain and the misery of the day sober, so you can really feel the sweet, sweet sting. You want to feel that sweet misery. I think there's a place called the Pharmacy in town that sells like mixed drinks and stuff. There's the Four Saints Brewing, which is good. They got a lot of good beers there, I gotta say. I've been in there twice, and I've had different beers each time, and they're good. They're like good. Specialty type beers. IPAs. I'm not a beer connoisseur. I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm like a snob about. I used to be a music snob back when I was a kid. I was younger. I think everybody is when they're younger. And then I started to listen to all types of shit. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm annoying. Well, my bands are better than your bands. Baseball is going to be starting up in probably about a month and a half. Basketball and hockey are going. Hockey's doing their Four Nations thing. I think is it Sweden, Finland, Canada, and the United States are the four. I think it's those four. It's definitely the USA and Canada. I'm pretty sure Finland and Sweden are the four. I can't believe the Super Bowl is now come and gone. The NFL season came and went until the next one. Then you get excited about the draft. I want to see who Denver's going to draft because they need to, once free agency starts up as well, see what they need. Their needs and at what position they need to get guys at and shit. Because they need help. Denver needs help in probably 4 or 5 spots, at least. I'm going to pop this out. This thing is done. I am just going to whisper regular here. Somebody was like, I like when you do. Because my 18K subs vid was with the tapping tournament thing. There's no gum chewing. Because I like your vids, but it's nice when you don't do any gum chewing. And listen, I would do more of it, honestly, though, unless it's they don't view well, unfortunately. Although I can do them and then have a second video go up the same day, because listen, I like my views, I like the views, I like to keep them at a certain point. So if a video's not viewing, I typically will try to get up a second video that day. But maybe I'll do some more non-ones, but this is a long enough ramble where I'll end it maybe like 15 minutes of non-gum chewing ramble. But anything else I want to go on about to get this? It's 47 minutes right now to get this to an hour. Do the old hour-long ramble. Birds are out there. We actually got a bird bath from Home Goods and this turtle, kind of statue turtle thing that I pointed out. My fiance's like, yeah, we should get that. Although she's like, stop pointing stuff out. I'm like, how about this? What about that? So we got the bird feeder, the bird bath. We got a bird. I think did I mention we get the bird book? We get maybe about 5 or 6 different types of birds. At least we noticed. They were a little pissed when I cut branches off the 2 hydrangea trees because they like to hang out in those, but they still do. But they just don't have the length of them anymore. Like I said, we have seen deer in the backyard, but there hasn't been any around recently. We've seen them sometimes when you're coming up the hill here. You gotta come up the hill, mountain, whatever you want to call it. You'll see them sometimes cross. You gotta be careful because there's some winding turns over here. You know what I'm going to do too, if anybody gets this long in the video? I talked about the cover art tournament. I want to do a game controller tournament as well. Probably only with like 8. I'm not doing 16. I don't even know if I have 16 game controllers for different systems, but it's like I can do PS2. Technically I have PS1, but it's the one that came with the PlayStation Mini. But PS2, what can I do? I got Nintendo 64, PS2, PS4, 360, original Xbox. I could do GameCube. I gotta think of 8 controllers. Try to maybe do 3, 3, and 2, so everybody's kind of... Maybe I'll do like original Xbox and 360. I could do PS2, PS4, PS5. I can do... and then I could do GameCube. Wait. I could do a Wii remote. I can do GameCube, Wii. And, I don't with the Switch. No. Maybe I'll do 4 of one of the systems then. Or 3. Well, I can do 3 Xbox. Actually, I do have an original Nintendo controller too. I can do. I have a Genesis controller also. obviously I don't have PlayStation 3. But yeah, I think I was like, oh yeah, why not do that too? But I'm excited about the cover art one, so I just want to finish up this tapping one. You might see them come up a little more frequently. And then, move into the cover art stuff. That, I don't know what I'm going to do with that one. I might just do kind of 16, but do it in 4s. Or, I guess I could do, yeah, I feel like I want to do more than 2 in each one. But, I could do 4. I could do 4 in each one and top 2 make it. Or some shit. Whatever tallies. Like if 20 people vote, the top 2 with the most votes would get in there. Maybe, or some shit. I'll figure it out. Yeah. I would have went into the antique stores this week, but it was cold and rainy, and I was like, no. Like I said, I want my 40s, I want 50s, I want 60s, man. Like, that's what it's all about. When it was 70, I'm telling my friend, he's still in New York. He's like, oh, we're snowing, we're supposed to get like 4 inches. I'm like, it was 70 here yesterday. He's like, fuck you. I do find it funny that everything turns into sports, I swear, or some kind of competition. No, we got more snow. No, I got more snow. I got 10 stitches. I got 15. Like, why are we one-upping each other on stupid shit? Like, I got 5 concussions. I got 10. Like, what? It's like weird shit. Like, it's ridiculous. It's human nature, I guess, right? Everything's got to be a competition for some reason. Where everybody feels like they have to have a better story for some reason. I don't have any stories. I have a relatively peaceful life, and that's great, and I like it that way. I don't leave the house. No, I busted the telescope out the other night. I put a picture on Instagram. It was nice. The moon was full, or just about full. I don't know if it was a true full moon, but I want to get a nice shot of the moon with this telescope. That was cool. It was a little cold out. That was a little chilly, unfortunately. But I will continue to bust that out. During the time I like telescopes. It's peaceful out there. And you just the telescope, just hearing nature and stuff, and you hear some cars going by. But it's nice. Still got to get a metal detector at some point, as well. So I'm trying to think of when RoboCop will be finished up. I'll probably finish it in a couple of days if I'm thinking, maybe 2 or 3. I don't know. Oh, we watched this movie. I think it was a Shudder original, actually. I think it was called Getaway. It's Nick Frost that was in it, and I think he wrote it as well. I didn't recognize any other. I think I recognized one of the 2 other people, but I don't know their names. But they go to this island off of I don't know if it's Sweden or Denmark. And an island, they do this thing or something, and they go there, and it makes it seem like the people that are on this island, very like isolated, are going to kind of kill them. But there's a twist in there that I won't spoil it. You should check it out. I think it's called Getaway. It got a little ridiculous, but in a funny way. What else? Yeah, let's get 5 minutes here. I want the hour now, because then I could call it an hour-long ramble. I know a lot of you like the hour-long ramble. I did pull out a couple more games that I feel like selling on eBay. So I really can get into a groove of moving stuff. That's why I like watching people talk about eBay on YouTube, because then I start to really get excited. I'm like, oh yes, I am going to start selling a ton of stuff now. But I did pull out a couple games. I pulled out an Xbox One game. I had the PS4 game. I pulled out 360 games. So I think I'm just going to move Bloodstone, honestly. I'm going to collect a bunch of Bond games. Like, what's the point? It doesn't matter. I've always talked about that in the past, and I definitely did it on my original channel back in the day. Like, I almost am not a game collector as more as I am a seller. And I'm not, I shouldn't say I'm not like a full-blown collector. Like, the original Xbox is really the one that I want to expand upon. Like, that's the one out of all the systems outside of the PS5, just because that's the newer system, so that collection will just grow naturally. Like, I'm not forcing it. The original Xbox is the only real one. Like 360, I was looking at some of those 360 games. I was like, I don't need, like, 5 of these games can just be sold. You know, the Vita, I'm done with. The Switch, there might be a few games I'd get. I've talked about this a million times. And like I said, just kind of here and there, get a game for other systems. But the original Xbox is the one I really want to kind of pull out, like get to like 100 games or something. I think I'm at like 50 or 51. Maybe I have 2 shelves worth of original Xbox games. Because I love the original Xbox. It's one of my favorite systems of all time. If I was like ranking my 5 favorite systems of all time, 1 and 2, you could swap them out however I would like to. I can go either way. Depends on my mood. Super Nintendo and Genesis are always going to be the top 2. That's the, I was in my, early teens, well, no, because I was in 12th grade when the Nintendo 64, I got the Nintendo 64 in 96, so that was the start of 12th grade, I got the Nintendo 64, or maybe it was like November, so I would have been 17 at that point, but I was, Super Nintendo Genesis TurboGrafx was going from like 90 to about 96. I might have played it a little bit afterwards as well, but I just love those systems. I love them. Like, that was just, especially the jump from 8-bit to that. And it was just like, you're like, oh my god, look at this stuff. These such incredible games. Those are the top 2. Original Xbox is in my top 5. I love the original Xbox. That's my favorite console from that generation. I don't even know. Nintendo 64 is in there. Nintendo 64 is in the top 5 as well. I'm trying to think of what, like, the last one would be. Like, maybe 360. Maybe the PS3. I could be the PS2, honestly. It could probably be the PS2. The Nintendo 64 is fantastic. They really were quality over quantity, because I think they only had a little over 200 games. And, the PlayStation had quantity and a lot of quality, though. But I had such good memories of the Nintendo 64. Star Fox 64, freaking Bond, Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, the Scoop game, Road Rash 64, F-Zero X, I think it was F-Zero X. GX was the GameCube one. Castlevania 64, I love 1080. Mission Impossible, Wet Tricks. There's a lot of cool games that I had a lot of enjoyment out of on that system. And there's a bunch I never played either, honestly, like Conker's Bad Fur. I did end up playing we did the remake on the Xbox, but like back then I didn't play the Banjo games. Back then I played them later on, like Xbox. I played some of them. Blast Corps is another awesome game. That was another Rare game. Not Rare, made by Rare. That was a really cool game. That's on Rare Replay, as well as Conker's, and now GoldenEye's on there, and Jet Force Gemini. But I had a lot of fun with the Nintendo 64. A lot. The WCW NWO World Tour, WCW NWO Revenge. I did not play the WWF ones. Those are the 2 wrestling games I played on there. Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine. How could I forget that? Top 5 game for me of all time. But, a lot of good stuff. Turok. Wave Race, Shadows of the Empire. Star Wars Shadow of the Empire, I like this ton. Pilot Wing 64. I could probably think of another 10. Original Xbox, great game memories with that as well, man. Halo, Max Payne, Silent Hill 2. I was playing Silent Hill 2 on all the systems. But Silent Hill 4, well, PS2 and Xbox. Silent Hill 4, stuff like Ninja Gaiden, seconds. What else was I playing on that I loved? Pirates of the Legend of Black Cat. Knights of the Republic 2. Manhunt I played on there. Game called Arx Fatalis, which is cool. I've looked that up recently, and that game is expensive. Surprisingly, it's one of the more expensive Xbox games. And it's ESPN NFL 2K5. And Halo 2 as well as the first Halo. Burnout. I played the Burnouts on there. The ones that were on there. A lot of great memories with that. Legacy of Kain Defiance, Blood Omen 2. I just look over there, the Bond games that I played on there. I played Nightfire, Everything or Nothing on there. Agent Under Fire, I played on the GameCube. GameCube is a cool system too, honestly. That's my second favorite era, behind the 16-bit era. What else over there that I can't see? Simpsons Road Rage. No, I played Simpsons Road Rage on the GameCube. Gladius. How could I ever forget Gladius? Metal Arms I played on there, which I now have again. That was an awesome game. A hidden gem, if you will. A lot of fun, man. Those were good times back then. That generation was good times, man. I feel like that was the last generation for me, and maybe for a lot of you, let me know, that really I was like, getting a game was like, I hate to say this word, it sounds so freaking stupid and corny. It was like a magical experience when you got a new game, right? I don't get the same vibe when I get games. It's rare. Rebirth did it for me, and Silent Hill 2 did it for me this generation so far. A lot of games don't do that for me, though, anymore. Back in that generation, almost any game you got, you were like, oh my god, yes. And it was even more so when I was even younger than that. When I was a kid playing the NES, or the Super Nintendo, the Genesis, stuff like that, TurboGrafx, is even more. Commodore 64 and shit. Like, I was like, yes, this is... You know, you get that new game, Final Fantasy 3, you're like, oh my god. You know, Super Castlevania 4, oh my goodness, Road Rash 2, this, that, you know, Lakers vs. Celtics, and Bulls vs. You know, the sport games as well. Yeah, it was good times. But anyway, I think that's enough here. I've made it past that hour mark, and I don't think I've done an hour-long ramble in a while. But yeah, thanks for checking this out. It was a gum-chewing ramble.